Welcome to the Gamescape, everybody. My name is Jeric, and today we're back in Phoenix Point, and today we're going to be going over my guide to bionic augmentations for your soldiers. We're going to do a little bit of looking at the different augmentations. We're going to talk about what the advantages are, what the disadvantages are, and why you might want to have these things, and maybe a couple of cool builds that you can do with them once you do have them. So we're here in our test game. And again, this is, I've mentioned this before, this is just my testing grounds, right? So what I did was I just started up a new game and I opened up the command console and I gave myself all of the tech. I gave myself tons and tons of resources so that we can just play around. And we've got our soldiers down here. I've added a technician to this particular one. The other four are the ones that are just came with the game. I haven't done anything to modify them. So let's go ahead and dive into it. And let's talk about bionics or cybernetics, if you wish. The first thing you need is you need the basic bionics technology, which you will get fairly early in the game if you have the Blood and Titanium DLC activated. And so that's obviously a prerequisite for this. You don't get this without that DLC. What you're going to need is you're going to need to build a cybernetic slab right here. And they're not cheap. They are 300 materials, 200 tech. So we're going to go ahead and get that. I have instant build turned on, so we are going to go ahead and just have that immediately. I'm going to also put in a mutations lab just in case we want to do a little bit of comparing back and forth so that we can kind of see how the cybernetics also stack up against the mutations in some cases potentially. So we'll maybe talk a little bit about that too. So let's go to our personnel. And let's start with our heavy Dora here. So once you have the cybernetics lab, you have this augment button here on the edit screen. So if we come into here, we can see the different things that are available to us. We have 3 different heads, 3 different torsos, 3 different sets of legs. These, like the mutations, are going to come in with different tech levels. So you're going to start out with just the first column as your basic bionics. Then you've got your advanced bionics that you get from New Jericho. And then you've got your restricted bionics that you actually get from Synedrian. And so the third column is that one. So when you first start out, you'll probably just have this first column, but you'll get the others as the game progresses. But let's start looking at some of the advantages. First thing, each one of these gives your soldier bleed immunity, resistance to viral, poison, and paralysis damage. But it also makes them vulnerable to acid damage, which means they're going to take more damage from acid than they normally would. Every bionic augmentation has some special ability or extra trait that it's going to give your soldier. Most of those you don't have access to normally with your soldiers outside of these pieces. So that's going to be useful. We'll go over what each one of those is as we look at each individual piece. Unlike the mutations, you can have bionic augmentations and also still use mounts in each of the 3 positions. So if you have a torso mounted, you can still put a blast vest on, for instance, or if you have the leg augmentations, you can still use the goo repeller module. And we'll see that too once we get going a little bit here. We're going to do a little bit of augmenting probably and just take a look at all that. One of the 3 torsos actually also gives you the ability to mount weapons and the tech arms, and we'll see that too. So the next advantage that they have is they tend to have slightly better armor protection than armor pieces that are similar in ability and purpose. So we'll take a look at that too a little bit. So they tend to be just a little bit better armor than, like, say, the golem armor, for instance. The heavy torso is a little better than the golem armor generally. What are the drawbacks to these things? Well, like the mutations, once you do it, there's no going back. Once you augment a body part, you can't undo it and go back to having just normal body part. So choose wisely. Now you can go, and if you don't like the one you chose, for instance, so let's say let's say Dora here, we're going to give her the Juggernaut Torso, and we don't like that. We end up deciding we don't like that. We can change it. You do have to pay the cost to buy the new augmentation as if you were just doing it from scratch, but you are allowed to change them. So you can switch out if you don't like what you have, but you cannot go back to not having the cybernetics. Another Another downside to these things, as you can see, they're expensive. Like the Juggernaut Torso, 350 materials, 44 tech. There are base modules that don't cost that much. And even the Anvil heavy chest torso, the heavy torso armor doesn't cost this much. So they're not cheap. They come at a premium price to cover those extra abilities and extra protection that they're giving you. Third thing, the third disadvantage with these things is obviously a medkit's not going to do anything to repair broken cybernetics. So you can repair them. Outside the geoscape, you have to pay tech and materials to repair them, just as you do to buy them. Inside of a mission, there are 3 different ways that you can repair them. There are repair kits. And if we take a look at those here, they're right here at the top. You can see they're really expensive too. One repair kit is 75 tech, 150 materials. And look at this, it only repairs 40 points of augmented body parts. So that's not much. That's half what a med kit does on actual normal stuff. So you can carry repair kits, but they're expensive and they're gonna be probably not your best option. Your second option is the technician arms, which will repair as well as heal. So that's probably a better choice. And then also the Aspida, if you're running with an Aspida, its arms will also repair mechanical stuff as well as heal fleshy bits. So those are really kind of the 4 ways that you can repair. You do not, you don't heal, obviously, in a hospital or in a medical bay. On the geoscape, as time's passing, you don't heal damage to your cybernetic parts, obviously. So those are, if you want them fixed, you got to pay the materials and tech cost. So that's kind of one of the big downsides. They are expensive and there's a lot of maintenance on them if you're taking damage. So last thing too, if we look here and we go in here, you can mix them with mutations, but you are still limited to 2 augmentation slots total, right? So you can have two cybernetic body parts, you can have 2 mutated body parts, or you can have 1 of each. Okay, you can't have like cybernetic legs and torso and then a mutated head, for instance. No matter what the combination is, you're limited to 2. All right, so let's dig in and let's take a look at each one of these parts and kind of see what they're good for, what their abilities are, why you might want to use them. For the first one, you're going to get the Clarity Head. Well, the first set you're going to get is going to be this first column, which includes the Clarity Head. 30 armor, really heavy armor. The Anvil helmet is slightly more than that. I believe it's 32 or 34, but 30 armor on the head is close to the best you can get. -10 stealth penalty, but +3 accuracy. That's unusual for this heavy armor type stuff. You don't normally get plus accuracy on the heavy stuff, so that's a good thing. The abilities that it gives you is mind control immunity, and that can be huge. And there aren't very many ways to get it. So having your soldier not have to worry about getting mind controlled by that siren that's coming at you can be a big deal. And same with the priests of Anu, if you're up against them or against the Forsaken. And so it's nice to not have to worry about being mind controlled. The only other ability I know of that prevents mind control is the Berserker ability, Ignore Pain. There might be something else I can't remember, but I'm thinking that's about it. So mind control immunity, pretty big deal. Nice to have. Cost on this isn't terrible. 140 materials, 18 tech, not too bad. The second one is going to be the Disruptor Head. Now, this head is sort of your replacement for, let's say, the Acheron helmet or the other sniper helmets, if that was the direction that you were wanting to go. So if we look at this, good armor protection compared to those helmets, right? So the Acheron helmet is a 14. The Banshee, I think, is 16. And I think the Eidolon helmet from New Jericho, I think, is 18 armor. So right in the mid-range there, pretty good armor protection. Plus, again, it's giving you the bleed immunity and so on. It's -5 stealth, +5 perception. Accuracy is +12%. I mentioned this in the Mutations video. This is the second best accuracy boost in the game. And the best one is a torso that allows you to not use two-handed weapons. You can take a look at my guide on mutations if you want to see kind of what that's about. But it's the third mutation. I can actually show you. So if we look at the mutations, it's this torso here that gives you 20% bonus to accuracy, but it messes up your left hand, so you can't use two-handed weapons. So the description's not popping up because I've already augmented this soldier's torso, and I can't do it again. So, but anyway, this is really good. 12%, big bonus for accuracy. It also comes with the neural disruption ability, which is also extremely good. For 1 action point and 3 will points, it gives you the ability to disorient a target, which means they're not able to use will point abilities for the next turn. So that shuts down all kinds of nastiness that the enemy is bringing your way. That is the Acheron's ability to summon reinforcements. That is the Siren's ability to psychic scream or mind control. It's the Sila's ability to do leaps, all kinds of stuff. Anything that they would be spending will points on is they just can't do it for the next turn. And so it's a really nice crowd control ability, really nice ability to shut down some of the more particularly nasty abilities of the Pandorans and other enemies. So it's really good. Expensive still, a little bit more than the other head at little higher tech cost, 140 materials and 30 tech, but probably worth it if you're going to be running something that would normally be using a light helmet anyway. The last one is this Echo Head, or the Silent Echo Head. 20 armor. This would be one that you would probably want on an infiltrator. An infiltrator that's cross-classed something else, or on a sniper probably. So this is giving you 20 armor, plus 10 stealth, just like the Styx helmet does. A little better armor than the Styx helmet, and no other bonuses or penalties besides that. But it also gives you night vision, which means you don't have any perception penalties for being in the dark. Normally at night, your perception is cut in half. And so what does that affect? That affects your ability to spot enemies. It also, for your assault soldiers or your soldiers that are cross assault with the return fire ability, it affects the range at which they can return fire. So with the night vision, there is no penalty for the dark. You're still at full perception range, even in the dark. But the other thing this is giving you is silent echo, which means all of your weapons attacks are silent. One of the nice class combinations, I guess, is the infiltrator cross sniper class. So you get your infiltrator out there. He's got his sneak attack ability at level 7, which increases his damage by 50%. And you've got a sniper rifle in his hands. And so you're doing 150% damage with your sniper rifle, as long as you're not discovered. Well, the problem with that is the sniper rifles are loud. And so you can become discovered. Even if they can't see you, they might hear where you are. And at that point, kind of the gig is up and you're not concealed anymore. This makes your sniper attacks silent. And so there's no chance they're going to hear them. And so they're going to have to actually spot you. And that's much harder with your plus stealth bonuses and your Styx armor if you're wearing it, and your just natural plus 25% stealth bonus for being an infiltrator. Makes it much more difficult for them to discover where you are, so you can keep getting that damage bonus much longer. So really nice. It looks kind of weird. It's kind of like this big buggy, looks like a bug head. But it's just the design of it, it's fine. This one looks pretty cool. I like the vertical, light bit there. It looks pretty cool. Then the Clarity Head's kind of got a flat, low profile look. So that's the heads and kind of where you might want to use them. So the torsos, you have, I'm going to switch to a different soldier so that we can see everything here. 1 second. Let's get the next guy in line here, since I already mutated that one. All right, so this one, you can kind of see here. This is the Juggernaut Torso. And so this is kind of your heavy armor replacement. So for like your Golem armor or your Anvil armor, this is kind of the same idea. Very, very heavy armor. It's got 45 armor protection. I think that's the best you can get in the game. Maybe the living armor is equal or maybe slightly better, but I don't think it is. -1 speed, -20% stealth. Obviously, it's big, it's clanky. +1% accuracy, though, which is normally for a heavy armor piece like this, you're taking a -8, -9% accuracy penalty. You're getting a +1 accuracy bonus here, which is actually quite a bit of a difference. Obviously, it's about a 9 or 10 point swing in your favor. the thing that this gives you is two things. First of all, you get the shield, the energy shield. And if you've gone against the pure at all in your games, you've seen this thing in action. It's costs 1 action point to deploy your shield. But after that, it's giving you pretty good cover and protecting you pretty well from damage coming from the front side. It's not perfect. Your head sticks up just a little bit over it. Your shoulders are slightly wider than the shield, but just barely. And then maybe one of your legs might be exposed slightly as well. But for the most part, that shield is covering most of your front here. And so it's pretty good. You just have the penalty action point to deploy it if you're going to use it. And then you also get this Demolition State ability, which you can see at the bottom here. And that's the ability to breach walls and solid constructs by just running through them, Kool-Aid Man style. And so that ability costs 2 will points to activate, but then you just run right through the wall. And that can be really clutch in a lot of places too, because there's a lot of times when you need to get to something on the other side of the wall, or you need to, you've got something hiding behind a wall. Like, for instance, you have, let's say, a siren that's mind controlled one of your guys, and then she runs and hides behind a building and you can't quite get to her. You got this. You just run through the wall. No big deal. You're right up to her, and then you can do whatever you're going to do to her. So, or even just open up, line of sight to somebody else so that they can see it and see the siren and shoot it or whatever. So being able to demolish walls, not a bad ability. Same thing kind of goes for, like, if you're looking at corruption nodes, the corruption node is usually pretty well hidden inside the building it's in. And so being able to just blast through the wall there and get at it isn't a terrible thing. So pretty nice torso. And like I said, 45 armor, you can't hardly beat that. So really good, really expensive though. 350, like I said, 350 materials, 44 tech. That's a lot. Next torso up is the Neural Torso. This one is, I would say, kind of a replacement for the Tech Ops armor. Kind of basically in that same line of thinking and the same range of protection, I suppose. 30 armor, which is better than the Tech Ops at 25, minus 15 stealth. Got to expect that. Accuracy plus 8%, which is slightly better, I think, than the Tech Ops. I think the Tech Ops is like my plus 4. I don't remember exactly, but it's slightly better, I think. And then the ability this thing gives you is a little bit vanilla. It's the heavy lifter ability, which allows you to double the weight that you can carry without movement penalty. Normally, that's not going to come into play. However, with your tech soldiers, they like to carry turrets, and turrets are heavy. Turrets weigh 4 apiece, and so on top of the med kits and the other things that they're going to carry as well. And if you're cross-classing them, they're going to have other weapons. So while it's not the best ability, in fact, it's probably the worst ability of all of the different pieces here, you're still gaining it's still suitable for a tech that wants to carry turrets. And I've kind of had this idea, I've never actually tried it, but I've had this idea of crossing a tech and assault and then just having them carry just a bunch of turrets and just throw them down. They get the ability to throw turrets for 1 action point, so they can throw out, 4 turrets per turn if they're not going to move, and just put up this wall of turrets that the enemy has to get through. Like I said, I haven't tried it out, but it's just a thought that I've had. And this torso would give you the carry capacity to do something like that. Now, you're not gaining any extra slots in your inventory, so you're still going to be limited to your 9 inventory slots. And the most that any piece of equipment weighs is 5. And so the most you could have here would be 45. So if you're at 23 strength and you have that, then you basically, beyond that, it's not helping you at higher strength levels than that. But up until 23, you could technically still overload yourself, even with that torso, if you carried a whole bunch of weight 5 items. I don't know if you would do that or not, but turrets are 4. They're still pretty heavy. So and a combat shield is 4. Most of your heavy weapons are 5. So those are the kinds of things, but it's just an idea, and what you would probably get the best use of this torso out of. The other thing that this particular torso gives you that isn't mentioned over here, but it is in the description, is that it allows you to mount weapons and tech arms, which most armor pieces don't allow that. Only the Tech Ops armor allows the technician arms to be added, and only the heavy torso armors will allow you to put mounted weapons on. This particular neural torso will allow both of those things. Then the third torso, this is the one. If you had to ask me what's the nastiest piece of cybernetic equipment in this list, this is it right here. And it doesn't look like it on the surface, but I will explain. So this is the Vengeance Torso from Synedrian. Armor's only 22, pretty light armor, just slightly better than the Odin armor. Stealth is plus 20%. So this is, on the surface, this is your replacement for your Styx armor, okay? And the armor is better by a lot than the Styx torso. And then the plus 20% stealth is the same. You do take a slight hit to your accuracy on this one, which you do not with the Styx armor. So you're taking a little penalty of minus 3% there. It also, and this is a little bit weird for the infiltrator class, but it gives you proficiency with melee weapons. But the thing that really makes this thing nasty is it gives you melee attacks at the cost of 1 AP less to a minimum of 1 AP. So almost all of your melee attacks are 2. This will bring them down to 1. It does not make bash attacks free, however. Why is that a big deal? Because this is the piece of equipment that you need to make the melee Terminator build. If you're new to the game and you don't know what that is, I might actually even just show you guys what that is. But what it is, there's an ability on the Assault class at level 7 called Rapid Clearance. And what that does is for every enemy that you kill, you gain back 2 action points. And so theoretically speaking, if you activate that ability, you can chain attacks together to kill a whole bunch of things at once. The problem is you're going to have to move at some point to get line of sight on the next enemy. And so for most of your attacks that are 2 action points, like your assault rifles or normally with your melee attacks, you can continue swinging as long as you can reach them or see them or hit them or whatever. But once that's done, you're going to be out of action points and you're kind of done, right? The idea behind the Terminator is to combine that ability with a 1 action point attack instead of 2 action point attacks. And this torso gives you those 1 action point attacks. And so you can walk up to something and you can bash it with a, melee weapon, and then you can move to gain your 2 extra action points back for killing it. Move to the next thing, kill that, move to the next thing, kill that, and you can just keep going as long as you can reach the next guy in line. So that's the idea behind the Terminator builds. And there are a couple of different ways that you can do that. The core of the Terminator is the Assault class with the Rapid Clearance ability, and then finding some way to get 1 action point attacks on that particular assault soldier. So this is the way to do it with the melee stuff. And I'll show you what that actual build is probably actually here, because it just so happens my heavy soldier that came with this game has got the perfect traits for it. So we'll see that in just a minute here, but I want to finish going through these pieces. But at any rate, if you want the nastiest thing, this is it, but it's only nasty in a certain way. And so you have to build it right for that to be the case. Okay, so that's the torsos. Let's talk about the legs. The armadillo legs, these are the basic ones. Armor's 40, again, really heavy protection. Your Triton poachers that have the Hera pistols cannot hurt you with 40 armor and 45 armor. Now they can still hit you in the head, but those Heras can't penetrate 40 armor or higher. So as long as you're not taking shred damage at all, they can't hurt you. They're just going to be wasting ammo on you. Same with the Redeemers. The Triton ghouls that have the Redeemer rifles, they can't penetrate more than 29 armor. So this is protecting you from that virus damage too, which then you also have resistance against, even if they do get it through. So this is really heavy protection, and it's really nice. Comes with some penalties though. -1 speed, obviously big stealth hit. They're big, stompy, loud. They do give, again, a plus accuracy bonus, which is unusual for the heavy stuff. So this is getting you, if you get the torso and the legs together, now you're at plus 4% accuracy instead of like minus 12%. And so it's kind of a big deal to have that little bit. Even if it's just a small bonus, the bonus is good because your heavy weapons aren't that accurate to begin with. And you don't have to be a heavy to use this armor, obviously, either. But just having the heavy protection with also having a slight accuracy bonus is very unusual. It's very unusual because accuracy is usually the trade-off. Also, it makes you immune to goo, which seems minor until you're stuck in it. You start getting the goo chirons and you get the acherons and the silas that can spit goo. and they start denying you the ability to move, both because your guys are stuck down or just because they can't enter the goo once they're not in it, right? And so it blocks them in. I've had a couple of missions in my playthrough where I've had soldiers just trapped. They weren't in the goo, but they couldn't get around it either because they were blocked in. And so they just had to stand there and basically do nothing for several turns. And so with the immunity to goo, it's like I said, it sounds minor until you need it. And in that case, then it's like a lifesaver. And then it also gives you landing shock absorption, which means you can fall from any height without taking damage. That one is a little bit more minor. The only time that really comes into play is if you're on a building and then a grenade goes off and blows the roof out from underneath your feet and you end up falling. So that's pretty niche, but if you're on a 5-story building or whatever, and all of a sudden a grenade goes off next to you, which I've had happen, you're not going to take any damage from that fall. So it's a nice to have. You're not going to get these legs for that ability. Think of that more as just icing on the cake. What you're going to get these for is the protection and the accuracy, slight accuracy bonus, and the goo immunity is, again, very nice to have. Next set of legs is the Propeller Legs. So these give you 20 armor and a +3 speed bonus. And so these are your medium legs with extra speed. Again, minus stealth penalty. It's to be expected with the Bionic gear for the most part. And then they give you Rocket Leap. And what Rocket Leap is it's similar to Jet Jump. It's 1 action point and 2 willpower points to activate. And it's up to 9 tiles. Now, up to 9 tiles, you might be thinking, Jeric, that's not very far. And it's like, if you stop and think about it, it's actually decent for the number of action points it's costing you. So it's more flexible than Jet Jump, and it's going to get you farther if you're going to spend the 3 action points anyway. Now it's going to come at an extra will point cost, basically double. Jet Jump is 3. If you use this 3 times, you're going to be spending 6 instead, but you're going to go farther too. You're going to go 27 tiles instead of 20 with the Jet Jump. And so you can think of this as also basically a dash that is cheaper and doesn't have the limited number of uses that dash has. So on the surface, Rocket Leap at only 9 tiles and 1 AP and 2 will points doesn't seem that great, but it is. It's dash unless you have really high speed, or it's a more flexible Jet Jump that allows you to cover almost the same amount of ground. Actually, if you use this twice, you're going to go 18 squares. You will only have used two action points and 4 will points instead of 3 and 6, 3 and 3, 1 and 3, 3 and 3 for the Jet Jump. So if you have a heavy that has, the Rocket Legs, he can get just about as far and still take a swing with a melee weapon, for instance, if you wanted to do something like that, or if you're, heavy crossed something else and you got a 2 action point weapon, you can still fire it. Again, it's like dash, but you can do it 4 times if you want, and you can travel 36 tiles. That's a long way. That's more than halfway across most maps. And so they're actually quite flexible if you have the will points to burn. So I actually like them. I've heard other people say it's not that great. I disagree. I think it's really flexible and better than dash and better than Jet Jump because of that flexibility. The armor protection is 20. Like I said, that's the same as the Golem armor, which is lighter than you're going to get for your heavy armor. But the +3 speed on top of it is actually quite good as well. So you're going to be moving even if you're not using Jet Jump. So they're pretty good. I like them. And then the last legs are the Mirage Legs. These are Snedrian stealth legs. 20 armor, again, better than the Styx armor. Speed is +1, which is also better than the Styx. +20 stealth is the same as the Styx armor. Again, you're taking that accuracy penalty here, though. And with your infiltrators, -3% is not the worst. -6% is starting to get not great because the crossbows that you're probably using aren't super accurate anyway. But it's not the end of the world. The other thing that this one gives you is Shadow Step, which means you don't activate enemy overwatches when you move. Normally, if you're going to do that Terminator build, it's recommended to go with this torso and these legs so that you can run out there and you can avoid getting shot as you're crossing different overwatches. And I'm gonna show you that here in just a second too. So that's that's everything. How do these kind of stack up against the similar mutations, I guess? So the Clarity Head, basically the same, with an accuracy bonus instead of, I think that this head has no accuracy bonuses. In fact, it's a -6. So it's the same armor protection with a +3% accuracy bonus instead of -6% accuracy penalty. And there's no perception penalty either. Both of them have a stealth penalty. So I think unless you're specifically looking for the daze immunity, the cybernetic head is better than the armored head from the Mutations, I think. The regeneration torso, it's hard to beat regeneration. You're giving up the armor, 45 armor on the other torso versus 34 on this one. Also, again, accuracy penalty on this one, accuracy bonus on the cybernetic torso, but instead of regenerate, you're getting a shield on the torso. So, and this gives you fire resistance too. So with the Juggernaut torso, it just depends. You know, the shield is good. The regeneration is really good, especially if you have a disabled arm. Disabled arm will come back with the regeneration torso. Also, all of the mutations are cheaper. Mutagens are easier to come by sometime. Well, not necessarily easier, but they're not as contended for as a resource by other things as your materials and your tech. So there are fewer things to spend mutagens on. So it might be easier to afford to spend mutagens than it is to spend the tech and the materials for the cybernetic augmentations. So anyway, a lot lighter armor here than, you know, the other torso. Like I said, stealth penalties on both. You know, you're looking at a plus 1% accuracy on the Juggernaut torso versus the -8% here. So you're giving up big accuracy, but you're gaining regenerate and fire resistance. So I think unless you're really utilizing, I don't know. I think both are good. This is cheaper. I do think that the Juggernaut torso is slightly better. So up to you to kind of weigh that difference. Is the difference in cost going to make a difference between regenerate and cheaper or not? I don't know. It's a judgment call that you're going to have to make. The Stomper Legs, again, 30 armor, same as the other, as the 40 armor on the Armadillo Legs. So better protection on the cybernetics. Plus 12% accuracy here. This is where the mutations make up for the penalties that they're incurring up here. So that's much, much better than the Armadillo Legs plus 3% accuracy. Stomp as an ability is a little bit niche, and you do have to be careful with it because it does do friendly fire. Whereas the Armadillo Legs, they give you the goo immunity. Situationally, both are good. I don't know if one is better than the other. That's going to be a call that you could make. You could go something like these legs with the Juggernaut torso. That would be a pretty good combination, probably. You are giving up a little protection here, like I said, but it's not the worst. Or you know, whatever. You can do anything really, and I always encourage everybody to experiment and see what they think is good. If you haven't seen my mutations video, we've talked about all of these. I'm not going to go in depth on these things. This one, like I said in my mutations video, this is basically just a slightly upgraded Acheron helmet. There's not really that much special about this thing. Your Neural Disruptor Head, I think, is better, even if it's more expensive. Better protection, better abilities. You're gaining a little more accuracy with this one than the Disruptor Head. In fact, you're losing. Now you're getting 12%. Actually, you're actually doing better with the Disruptor Head. I think the Disruptor Head's just better than this head. This torso, the tentacle torso, is very, very specialized to a capture type person. I don't really want to go into that. The Shadow Legs are very, very comparable to the Mirage Legs, I think. You're getting a better stealth bonus here at less armor protection and no penalty to accuracy. Electric Kick, I think, is again, like Stomp, is very limited. The enemy has to be under 200 health for it to work, versus the Mirage Legs that give you Shadow Step, avoiding Overwatch fire. So I don't know. I think if you're really looking for stealth, go with the Mutated Legs. If you're looking for a little more flexibility and slightly better protection, probably the Mirage Leg Augment is better. And then this last one, this head is, I don't like it. personally. It's basically just Odin helmet with some extra resistances. Poison resist and virus resist you also already get from the Bionics too. So you're not gaining anything there. The only thing this thing gives you is 2 extra will points. And it's not listed. It's listed as +5 here, but it's actually only +2 after the rebalancing. So I think that the Silent Echo head situationally is better. But the resistor head, the Disruptor head is better than this one. So I think it's not really much of a contest there. The Venom Torso I talked about, and the other thing, this thing is, I want it to be good, but it isn't. You're much better off with the Vengeance Torso if you want to do anything Terminator-like with that. But it's just better anyway. But they're both kind of niche, so I don't know if you can really compare the two. And then you got the Agile Legs here. This one gives you goo immunity as well, like the Armadillo Legs do. It's light armor, 10 armor protection, not good. If you take a hit in the leg, you got almost no protection there. A grenade, almost no protection from a grenade, which is probably where you're going to need it the most, because Pandorans, especially on the higher levels, tend to go more for headshots than they do leg shots. And normally your legs are behind cover a lot of the time. So, but leg armor is big time important when it comes to explosives going off near you. And so that's a consideration. +4 speed on these versus +3 speed on the similar Propeller Legs. But again, or on the Mirage Legs are +1 speed, sorry, with stealth. So that's these. So yeah, this would be the Propeller Legs. So the new Jericho Legs I think are better. And then the new Jericho Legs also give you the rocket leap ability that this doesn't have. So I think they're better than these legs. So, but again, the mutations are arguably cheaper. So, I mean, you just have to make that judgment call. That's kind of how they stack up to each other. Not all of them are good direct comparisons to each other because some of them are pretty specialized, but that's kind of the idea. Anyway, let's take a look. I was talking about that Terminator build. It just so happens, and I did not set this up. This is how this soldier came. Just when I started the game. But this soldier has the perfect set of traits for that build. She has quarterback, which gives her +2 speed. She has self-defense specialist, which gives her access to PDWs. PDW is basically like a submachine gun, and it's a single point attack, ranged attack that does decent damage. And then she's also got close quarter specialist, which gives her an additional 20% damage on top of the +50% damage that she can get from Brawler. So what we would do is we would just cross-class her. And I've given myself a whole bunch of XP and skill points, so I can actually just show you. So like I was saying, if you want the Terminator, the heart of the Terminator build is the Assault class. Okay, you have to have it. You're going to want Dash. You're going to want Brawler. You're going to want Rapid Clearance, and you're probably going to want Ready for Action. And then these three, we could pick up all 3 of these and it wouldn't hurt us. So it's that. And then when you do your augments, you want the Vengeance Torso. So let's get that. And you want the Shadow Step Legs. You can go with the Propeller Legs too, for the extra speed and mobility, but you do have to worry then about overwatches at that point. Whereas with this, you don't need to. Most of the Pandorans don't overwatch that often, and so you can kind of decide for yourself which ones you want. Either are good. For the mobility part of it, the Rocket Legs might be better, but it's nice to not have to worry about those overwatches. So we do that. And this is basically your Terminator build. If you go to the equipment, sorry, let's get some equipment here. You want a heavy helmet since you're going melee anyway. We're going to need a melee weapon. Unfortunately, I don't have any ancient sights on this, so we can't build the ancients weapons. They are ideal. If you can get a Scyther, that's ideal. That's 300 damage plus all your bonuses. This is a two-handed weapon. That's the only drawback to it, and it's fairly expensive to build. Unfortunately, we don't have any of that. So the best basic one you can get for damage is Marduk's Fist, which is the basic hammer. And so you get that, and you give it to Dora. And we just need that. She gets that. The other thing that you can use that's pretty handy, because this thing's going to be limited in how much damage we can do, right? So with our plus 70% bonus, we're going to be just a hair over 200 damage hitting with this thing, 260 rather. So we're going to be like 265, 270, somewhere in that ballpark, which isn't enough to kill everything in one hit. And so, you know, you're going to want good, you know, by the time you get up to using this thing, you're going to have max, speed. You're going to have good, at least willpower, so that you can use dash a couple of times, let's say 15, and you're going to want decent strength too. So we'll say 30. This isn't maxed out, but it's close, right? And so what you can do if you have good strength too, is you can get a nice heavy weapon like a Disruptor or even just the Uragan machine gun. Doesn't really matter because you're just hitting with it. You're not actually shooting it. So if we kind of come down here, we could even go with just this Uragan. So anything that's weight 5, any weight 5 weapon works. These are dirt cheap. If you break it, who cares? No big deal. So you do that. You get Dora. You give her that just to use as a club if she needs one. And, you know, give her a PDW too, I suppose, since she can use them. That's in the tech class. So let's find a good one of those. We can give her a Gorgon Eye maybe. Or just a Defender. Yeah, let's just give her a Defender. That's fine. Now, you're going to not always have these nice set of traits that I ended up with. Like I said, I didn't plan that. It just happened to work out that she's got the perfect set of traits for this build. I swear I didn't do it. But she needs that PDW. Give her some ammo for it. And I tell you what, guys, if you haven't ever seen the Terminator, let me bring this into a mission and I'll kind of show you how it works. Give me just a few minutes and I will set that up and I'll bring you back in just a moment. Hey guys, here we are in a mission. I set up a base assault mission, and when I started it up, because the geoscapes barely advanced, it only had these two guys in here. So I bolstered their forces a little bit and gave them some decent firepower here. There's also a few mine fraggers that are kind of out of sight as well. So there's a good amount. We got about 13 enemies coming at us here. We've got 5 guys. I went ahead and augmented and equipped all of them. So we're going to go ahead and see how we can do against these guys, especially with the Terminator. First things first, our 2 soldiers are up here. The other 3 are back here in the access lift way in the back of the base. So we're going to have to get them moving and get them caught up. So we'll go ahead and see what we can do with that. I didn't really give him good equipment, it doesn't look like. That's okay. I think we'll be okay with the other 4 soldiers. These 2 guys, we're just going to pull them back for now. Okay, another mine fragger. We'll just pull them back out of line of sight for the moment so that we can get things going here. So we got plenty of willpower. I did run these guys up to level 7 and gave them decent stats. They're not completely maxed out, but they've got a decent amount of willpower and such, so... Figuring this is a pretty much a, you know, kind of a more end game type team anyway, with the types of augments we have. It would be, you're not going to have these augments early in the game anyway. So I figured this is probably pretty reasonable representation of what a team might look like at this stage when you have all 3 of the augmentations good to go here. So we got Lucy. She's our sniper. I gave her the neural torso and the neural head, and so she has the neural disruption ability, and then she's got the double carry weight, but it also gives her the accuracy. So if we take a look, I outfitted her with a couple different sniper rifles. She's crossed assault. If we take a look at the Pythagoras rifle here, we ought to have a pretty tiny little circle there. So that's really good accuracy. And then with the Raven, which is the armor piercing rifle, it's not quite as good, but it's still pretty good. So she's going to be able to hit stuff from a decent away. Like I said, she's crossed assault, so she's got also ready for action and stuff. So we'll be able to leverage that. But for right now, I just want to clear back so these guys can come at us and we can have time to get our other soldiers up here and ready to fight, especially our especially our Terminator, since kind of she's the one we're here to see anyway. So we're going to dash her a couple of times, see if we can get her up here. She's just going to run out here. I don't know if she'll get into the fight the second turn or not. We might have to just pick at him a little bit. But that's okay. We can do that. You're just going to move up a little more. Okay, you're done here. All right, guys. We're just going to treat this like a regular mission real quick. We'll just run a couple of turns here. I don't think it's really going to take more than that. So I gave them several Tritons and several Arthrons, and I gave them a Orichalcum Siren, the Siren Hermes. I think they have 3 Mind Fraggers. They've got some explosives. They've got a couple of acid launchers, I think, over here is what they were. So we're just going to let these guys come toward us and see what we can do with them here. Mostly, I just want to show you guys the Terminator, because if you haven't seen them before, they're kind of neat. And they're a little bit cheesy. And, you know, if you're going to run it mission after mission, it's probably going to get boring. But it's kind of cool to see it once, I think. We just, there's quite a few of the Pandorans, so it's just going to take them a minute to get moved here. So. Okay, that's a Frenzy from the Siren. They, you know, probably should have done that first, but, you know, that's okay. I did notice one of the Tritons that we spawned in, I think it was a Triton, is actually an Umbra, so we'll have to see about that too. Still waiting for him to move. There's another Arthron. They're all clustered up here. That's going to make it really easy for the Terminator. In fact, it might almost be too easy. Okay, so they're all kind of scattered around here. I don't know exactly who's where, but that's okay. So what I did with our technician was I gave him, we take a closer look, also the Neural Torso, which allows him to have the tech arms. And then he's got the speed legs too, the ones that allow you to jump. So that's fine. And then I gave him, if we look at his inventory, I gave him 6 turrets, since he's got the double carry weight anyway. So he can start throwing turrets out and whatnot. So let's back up just a little bit here. So just a quick thing here. Rocket Leap allows you to move this far with 1 action point and 2 will points. That's about as good as a dash. It's about the same. And so what he can do is he can actually do this. Not really necessary, but he can do it. Now he's got eyes on a bunch of people, and then he can take one of his turrets and he can toss it for 1 action point. Okay, and then he can take control of it for 2 more. And he can shoot it once. Now he could also, if he wanted to, toss 2 more turrets, and then they would just fire on their own. Okay, so this guy's 340. If we kind of shoot him up a little bit, that's fine. We do about 270 with the hammer. So a couple of these guys will maybe need a little softening up. So let's soften this guy up a little bit for the Terminator. Ideally, we'd have a better melee weapon for the Terminator, but like I said, I don't have any of the ancient sites opened up, and so she's just stuck with the hammer, and that's just what it is. So okay, he's out of action points. Lucy, she's got the sniper rifles, so she can do neural disruption. So do we have eyes on the... We don't have eyes on the Siren. She could probably run out there and get it. Maybe we'll see. We'll see about not killing the Siren right away. Okay, with this guy, I crossed him berserkers, I recall. Yes, I did. So he's got ready for action, and he's got adrenaline rush, which gives him also 1 action point attacks. So he's a bit of a berserker himself. He doesn't really have the heavy weaponry maybe that he might need. Although he did happen to have the sniperist ability, so he can fire 4 shots with that sniper rifle, and kills go towards, you know, extra action points too. So you start combining those two. Now with adrenaline rush, you have to be careful because you can't use any other will point abilities after you activate it. And so you have to do ready for action first and then adrenaline rush if you're going to use the berserker style Terminator. So, but let's see what we can do here with Dora. And so we're going to go ahead and activate rapid clearance with her. And let's see how she can do with just 1 move. Or are we going to have to dash? Okay, so she's going to have to dash. Now you do have to be careful with the Terminator dashing because they can only do it twice in a turn, remember. You can only dash twice. So we're going to dash her to here, get her as far up as we can, but still be able to hit the first target. Okay, and this guy's already hurt, so she's just going to whack him. Okay, he's dead. That gives her 2 more action points. That almost fills her up again. She can move to here. Easy enough. Okay, a couple more things spotted. She can just whack this next guy. Bip. She can take 1 step this way. Whack this guy. He's going to take 2 hits, but that's okay. We're nice and close to everybody. Oh, he just... okay, that's fine. He moved. But we didn't even use our full movement point from that last time. So we can still just move to right here. And we still have 2 action points left. So we're going to be just fine here. So we whack him again. Okay, he's dead. We don't even have to move to get this guy. So we're going to be able to hit him. And we're back up to 4 action points. You see how gross this is? I mean, it's just stupid how good this is. And like I said, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, it's cool to see it once, but, you know, it gets a little bit boring, you know, if you're going to do this a bunch, you know, because you don't, I mean, I don't know, maybe you do want to see every mission be just send in the Terminator, but, you know, you even have a decent amount of movement even without using dash, because you can often get to within, you know, within reach of 2 pretty easily. So, I mean, it's just silly how good this is. Okay, he's dead. He's going to spawn the Umbra, but we don't care about that. It's whatever. It's thinking about where to put it right now. Okay, there he is. Okay, and we can come here. And look at this. We got a Mind Fragger right there to recharge if we don't get this guy in 1 hit. But we did. It's just silly. Okay, and come to here, bash this guy. I mean, it's just, you can just keep going. Okay, this is a prime, so he's a little tougher, or a champion anyway, shield bearer champion. But still, I mean, look at this. We're still above 2 action points. We're going to kill him with this next hit. Bip, dead. You know, come here for an easy one. There's our siren. So easy kill on the Mind Fragger. He's dead. Come here. Hit this guy. Maybe have to hit him twice. Yep. But again, doesn't matter. Okay, go there. We come here. We kill this Mind Fragger, and we're back up to 4 again. Still have 1 move. We can do 3 hits on her. That's going to be more than enough, right? So that leaves this guy here that I missed, I guess. I didn't see him behind the corner there. So anyway, I mean, it's just, you know, it's just silly what these Terminators can do. And it's not the only Terminator build there is, obviously. You know, you can anything with an assault soldier with ready for action that also has single action point attacks that are decent, will work. Look at this. I mean, I could even come back here and kill this guy yet. So it's like we kill him. And that's everybody on the map in one action, in one soldier's one soldier's turn, and we can still run back here and get away from the Umbra. And it's like, okay, good enough. And so it's like I said, it's just silly, you know, the things that you can do. I guess I didn't show you the neural head, but it's basically just that ability. You just basically pick a target and they just can't use any will points anymore. So as you can see, you can do pretty powerful things, especially with that one torso. And so anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit of a demo on the Terminator if you hadn't seen one before. And that's probably one of the better Terminator builds there is. So I think that's going to do it for this guide though. And you can see the Bionics are pretty good. They have their drawbacks, of course. They're expensive. If you take damage, you're going to end up being, you're going to end up paying a lot of resources to repair it, or you're going to spend time with your technician repairing it in a mission, one or the other. That's probably the cheaper way to do it, honestly. But that's just kind of how it is. So anyway, hope you've learned something. And if you have, do me a big favor, hit the like button, and do me another big favor, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really, really helps out my channel a bunch. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching.